Now, I tend to name my display sets for the information that changes between one and another of my display sets. So the things that change for me primarily are the font, the size of the font, the size of the page, and the line numbers per page. Now, this varies a great deal. Letter and legal normally vary only in if you are an official, you are normally working on legal paper. That is not true everywhere, but it is more true than not that officials work on legal paper and they produce 32 lines per page, whereas deposition reporters tend to work on letter size paper with 25 lines per page. Now, the 25 does vary from state to state to 24, 23. I believe the smallest number I've ever seen of lines per page is 23 or 22 maybe, but those are kind of rare. So I'm going to go over this specific screen. Over here, starting on the left, is the title, and I explained to you that I often make the title reflect what it is so that I don't have to go in and open it to know what the settings are. You guys do not have the same situation as me. You probably do not have over 100 display sets. But if you do court reporting, CART, captioning, if you do many things, then it may very well be that you do have multiple display sets. And there may be times as you go along in your career where you will have the desire to set different display sets. I do also have a display set that I call Easy to Read, which is something that I created so that when I'm in the scope phase, if I want the text to be big, it can be big, and then I can make it smaller before I go into the final phase of transcript production. So beneath the title, you'll see speakers 1, speakers 2. That means that where speakers 1 is concerned, every other speaker field is going to be that color. And with speakers 2, every other speaker field is going to be that color. Some people do change these things. That is completely up to you. The untranslates 1 and 2 work the exact same way. Okay, so now that you are seeing my screen, thank you, Michelle and Vicki. Speakers 1 and 2, like I said, are only the color of the speakers field and the color of the untranslates field. And these just show differently because we have every other one colored differently for the purpose of delineating one from the other. You can change those fields and it doesn't bother me at all. However, keep in mind that it should be light colors so that you can still see your text. And then below untranslates 2, you'll see dictated text. The dictated text is always black. I prefer that you leave it that way. In the beginning, we ask that you not change any of these fields between dictated text, correction, applied, keyboard, and conflicts. The reason we ask you not to change those things when you're new is because when you're first learning SpeechCat, these colors represent very important aspects of the text, which I'm going to explain. All dictated text is black by default. When you perform a correction, the text of the entire utterance, even though you've only corrected one word, that entire utterance will turn green. Then when you go to utterance summary, listen to all of your corrections and verify that they are correct, and then click on the correct button. Your corrections are then applied. And after they're applied and the speech files are saved, the text turns that cobalt blue. And when there is a real-time rule used in your text, or you type something into your text, the text will turn red, letting you know that that's a keyboard edit. And when we make a keyboard edit, we cannot do correction on that text or anything in that utterance. So it's important that you see and realize what a keyboard edit is, what an applied correction is, and what a correction is. Now, the conflicts, first of all, the conflicts must be on. So the conflicts will appear in brackets, and every conflict option except the one that SpeechCat thinks is correct will be in blue. The one that SpeechCat thinks is correct will be in black. So the reason we ask you not to change those colors is so that when you have a question and you say, well, my text turned red, why is that? We need to be able to say, well, your text turned red because it's a keyboard edit. And if you change those colors around, it can cause a little bit of havoc in support. Once you know what you're doing, if you want to change the colors, that's fine. The dictation cursor is not something that most people use. It was designed to be something that you could use for when you wanted blanks to be filled in, usually by transcribers filling in medical documents. The current field is set to green. The current, oh, that's probably the current screen, as in the current case list. And the field, I don't know what that field is. Do you know what that field is, Michelle? That last one on the left? I can't recall what that is. And then over on the right.
Is that the,
I can't figure that out.
That's for where the dictation cursor goes, because the dictation cursor is for fields.
Right.
And so those are all the fields, and the green one above it is for the one where it is in respect to the whole document.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Mitch.
You're welcome.
The script back and the script for, those are only for carton captioning, and they're used, let's say that you are doing a newscast and the newscaster sends you his or her script for the evening. You can actually see that script between your dictation and your speakers and untranslates. And some people like to change the color of the background so that they know that that's their script window and not their dictation window. The next field is the utterance. We ask that you not change that in the beginning either. The utterance is highlighted in this orange color when you turn correction on, and then it will highlight the utterance, and then you hit page down, it goes to the next utterance, and so on and so forth. We haven't gotten there yet, so don't worry about it. The background is the actual color of your dictation screen when you go to real-time or card or captioning. I like my background to be something other than white because I see so much white on the screen all day. So I like one of these gentle colors. If you want to change one of the colors, you click on the drop down arrow and then you can change it to any color you'd like. I try to stay with these top colors because I don't like anything that's too terribly bright. And then the next line gives you the option to bold, underline, italics, or all caps your text. That is up to you. For people that do CART, most of them do use a different font, something that's more readable. You can use any number of fonts. If it's here, you can use it. Of course, I would always suggest that you use something that is easy to read and comfortable on your eyes. But if you are a court reporter, you need to use what is reflected in your court guidelines or in your state guidelines for the way it's going to be turned in. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to see it in that font all the way through, but you definitely want to produce it in the font that meets the requirements of your state or the agency that you work for, or both. This is the size. The next one is the size of the font. That can vary anywhere from 12 to 14 for court reporting, and it can go all the way up to really large fonts for the CART and captioning. Well, specifically for CART, when someone is viewing, a lot of people in the CART world do use at least an 18-point font. Some people that have hearing problems also have eyesight problems, and that's the case for why someone would use a bigger font. Now, I told you earlier about having a display set that I call Easy to Read, and that display set I created only for myself for in the scope phase so that I could see it with a bigger font and be more comfortable while I was going through it. SpeechCat actually has a feature that will bring it down to the font you want to produce it in when you go to the present phase. That is not something we set here. We set it in the style, which we're going to talk about next. So for now, I'm just going to say that this is the display set, sets all of this for what you are going to see in your dictation window and beyond. Now, below that is line spacing. You'll see that you can have single, 1.5, double, 2.5, or triple. I usually leave it with double. You can change it if you want. Sometimes CART people do change it. Most court reporters leave it at double. Then we get into our margins, top, bottom, left, and right. What Michelle discovered a long time ago is that if you have a top margin and a bottom margin of 1.3, it's going to get you pretty much 25 lines per page with double space. And so that is why the top and the bottom are set to 1.3. I have set my left to 1.5 and my right to 0.5. I've reflected a letter size page in the height and width of the page size in inches. And to verify how many lines per page I'm going to have with these margins, I can click on Get Lines Per Page. And it comes and tells me how many lines per page these specific settings are going to get me. That's what I want, so I'm going to click on OK. Now, the next box is Use Real-Time Margins, and if it's checked, and I have the margins set at 0.5 and 0.5 because I like to see all of my text. So this allows me to set my margins a little differently than it would be set if I didn't use real-time margins. These are set much smaller, and this is the way I like to view it. You don't have to view it the same way. Once you've made all your changes, apply and OK. And that's display sets for you.